Hello, my name is Barbara Allen and welcome to another episode of Born to Win. Today I'm going to be talking about prostate cancer and we have three guests in the studio that will help us with their knowledge about prostate cancer. Welcome to the studio.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Errol, I'm going to start with you first. Because because you've actually experienced prostate cancer, the first question I'm going to ask you is, what is prostate cancer?
Right, prostate cancer is a gland that sits underneath it's all gonna go now. Right, it sits underneath the bladder. Right, it kind of supports the bladder, and it's kind of what we call, for me, I can only explain in mechanical terms, the hub, right, that goes downstairs to our friend in the private areas.
Yeah.
So, and what it does, it basically supplies all of the natural products that we need in that area. For me, right, my journey and my issue with prostate cancer started for me right at the end of 2010.
Right. So you was diagnosed with cancer in 2010.
Yeah, end of 2010.
Okay. What happened in order for you to get yourself to the doctor to be diagnosed? Did you go for a checkup or what happened?
No, my journey with prostate cancer is purely by accident. And that's why, I told the story so that people understand that I'm very lucky to be sitting here telling the story.
Right. Yeah.
And it all started, as I say, at the end of 2010 when my wife was complaining about me snoring. Right. I looked at, and I'm going to say on record here, right, that when I say I encourage women to nag, there is a serious side to that statement. Because, as I said, I'm alive because of it. Yeah, I'm alive because of it.
Right.
I asked her to make an appointment with the doctor, and she did that.
Because of the snoring?
Because of the snoring, yeah. I went to the doctor. I sat in the reception room, right, waiting to see the doctor. While I was sitting there waiting to see the doctor, right, I had one of these leaflets from Prostate Cancer UK. Read the leaflet and decided to go and see the reception lady and make an appointment to come back and do the test after reading the leaflet. When I got to the reception, the young lady said, "Mr. McKellar, you don't need to make an appointment. This is a simple blood test and it takes less than 10 minutes. Little did I ever think at that time that 10 minutes was going to change the rest of my life. So I did the blood tests. I sat back down, still waiting to see the doctor. When I got home in the evening, the wife was cooking dinner, and I said to her, while I was waiting to see the doctor about the snoring, I did a simple blood test for prostate cancer. Well, she stopped cooking immediately, and she looked at me and she said, "What's that got to do with your snoring?" So I said, "Well, you know what it's like. You're in the doctor's surgery," and I picked up a leaflet, I read it, and I thought, I'll do the test. Anyway, luckily,
You got some food.
yeah, she carried on cooking, so I did get some dinner that night, right?
Of course.
Anyway, 1 week after that blood test, I got a phone call to do another blood test. So I went in, did the second blood test. A week after that second blood test, they called me to come in and do a biopsy. I did the biopsy.
And the biopsy is?
Now, the biopsy is, and I'm going to try and put it in as pleasant a tone as I can, right? The surgeon, the nurse, sorry, right, will have a pair of gloves on, right, of which she will put her hands, right, well, her finger, I should say, in your back passage, right? That's one of the tests that they do. So, which can be very difficult, right? Very, very difficult, and one that a lot of people seem to have an issue with, But to move the story on, I had that done. As I said, it wasn't very pleasant. Had the biopsy. Then after the biopsy, a week after that, they phoned me again to come in and do a scan. Right, 4 days after the scan, right, they called me and my wife in, sat us down, and said, "Mr. McKellar, your prostate is covered in cancer." So I just got up and I walked out of the room because I just did not think this man was talking to me. Really,
somebody else.
And you know what?
Devastation.
I came out that room. I came out the building. I went and sat in my car, and I think all of a sudden, and I don't know whether I was scared, frightened, or both, I just burst into tears, and I'm not ashamed to admit, uncontrollable. I didn't know what to do. Right. I was frightened, scared, as I said, because I don't know what the next thing I was going to be doing. And my wife came and she sat in the car with me, and she turned to me and she said, "Look, all the years that I've been with you, I've never known you to quit on anything you've ever done." And I stopped crying and I looked at her and I thought, is she having a go at me, or is this her way of motivating me? You know, so I took the latter.
Okay,
right?
Of course. Yes.
And we both got up and we went out and we went and faced the doctor.
So you went back into the doctor?
Back into the hospital to face the doctor. And, you know, I turned to her and I said to her, "You know what? It's because of those words why I got up and came out of the car." Right? So, you know, I turned to the doctor and I said to him, "Doctor, what do I need to do to deal with this problem?" Right? He said, "Mr. McKellar, if we don't remove your prostate, you could be dead in 6 months." So now the conversation becomes even serious now. Right? So I looked at him and I said, "Okay, let's do this." And he said to me, "There will be some issues that you will have to deal with. There will be some side effects that you'll have to come to terms with." So I said, "Doctor, if I have a chance of being alive, I'll take that." Right? So I had the operation. After the operation, there were still elements of cancer, right, still in my body.
Yeah. What did the operation entail?
The operation was a 9-hour operation.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know why the complications was what it was, but usually, right, they will do a robotic type operation. But in my situation, they had to completely cut me open to remove the prostate. Right. So hence is why it took as long as it took.
Right.
So as I said, I had still about 1.5% cancer still floating around in my body.
Yeah.
So that meant I had to have 3 months of radiotherapy, which was
get
very
the
difficult
rest of the cancer out.
to burn the rest of the cancer out. Right. So during that time, you know, I kept saying to my wife, "You know what? I need to find some way of doing something about this," because for me, I feel very lucky to still be alive.
So let's go back to the radiotherapy.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people are, what was that like?
The radiotherapy was very, very brutal. Very brutal. But, you know, I was at a stage in my life, right, where I was still in the fight. So I was going to go the distance with this battle. Right. That was my only thought, because, you know, it hadn't got me the first part. And I'm thinking, well, if I'm still in it, I'm in the fight. You know,
so there was a great determination in you.
Yeah, but it wasn't just me. It's again the strength and the support of the women in our life, because the one thing that keeps getting forgotten with all of this conversation is that when you, the man, has a prostate issue, it affects those close to you as well.
Yes, of course.
And I saw the strength and I felt the strength of my wife. Right. Because, you know, when I said to her, "Look, I need to find some way of doing something about this," she just said to me, "Look, this cancer only knocked you down. It didn't knock you out. And you're a man who talks. So from the minute it ain't, you know, you've got up.
Powerful words.
You and this cancer's gonna have to go to 12 rounds.
Yes.
So you say, Errol. So what I'm hearing from you is you had a really good support, which was your wife, that was there for you 100%,
You know,
encouraging
listen,
you.
can I say something to you? 100% doesn't even add up to the support that my wife particularly, right? When I tell you how strong my wife Sharon is, you know, to go through this battle, right? You know, I saw from the other side how much it affects the women in our lives. You know, I lost my mum the year before I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Right, my mum died 2009. Right, no, she died you know, she had cancer, but
okay.
not anything to do with relating to me. And the last words that my mum said, because she had a few strokes, and the last thing she said before the final stroke that stopped her from talking, she said, "Son, I'm not worried about dying. I'm leaving you with good people." And those words, every time I felt I was down, it was those kind of encouragements that picked me up. And, you know, as I said, you know, coming back to my wife, that driving strength is what has got me to where I am today.
Yeah.
And, you know, 6 months of being out of work, right, I went back to work, you know, and my job is I'm a fully qualified automobile mechanic.
Yeah.
I service and repair cars. I carry out MOTs. That's what I do. You know, so I'm qualified to do that sort of work.
And you've been doing that for how long?
I've been doing that for 40 years.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
40 years.
So you know that like the back of your hand.
Yeah. So I am proud to say I'm a qualified mechanic.
Yeah,
you know,
of course.
I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
You know, I have the qualification to say I'm an engineer.
Yeah.
So the 6 months out, I went back to work. The first week that I was at work, a guy walked into my garage and we were having a random conversation and he said, "Oh, you know, I heard you wasn't well and, you know, how are you now?" and so forth and so forth. And without even thinking about the next thing that came out of my mouth, I just looked at him and I said, "When was the last time you had a prostate check?" And he looked at me, you know, and listen, and I'm going to apologise for what I'm going to say now. He said, "What the bleep has that got to do with the gearbox of my car not working?" So I said to him, "I tell you what, if you go and get your prostate checked, right, I will give you 20% discount on the repairs that I'm going to do on your car."
Okay, so what I'm hearing from you is, because you overcame it, you were so grateful.
Yes.
That I'm hearing a mission now to go out there and tell everybody about prostate cancer.
Listen,
I'm hearing a calling.
Yeah, I'm glad that you brought that up because let me tell you, and I'm going to say this to all these people who doubt God and the strength of God. Right? I'm going to say this because I'm a believer in God. Right? I say my prayers every morning. I say my prayers every night. We all grew up doing it. Right? And as my mother always said to me, don't just pray, right, for the sake of praying. When you want something, you pray every day. So I'm proud to say that I pray. And I'm proud to say that I believe in God. And I know that I'm alive because of God. Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So it's about faith as well.
Yeah. So make no bones about it. Yeah.
Combination.
You know, my support network down here was, listen, without question. My support from up there, right, was from beyond.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And you know, that guy, right, you know, he came back 2 weeks later, right, to pick up his car. And he said to me, "I took your advice, right, and I did that test. And I'm going to be honest, and, you know, I've asked God for forgiveness every time I say it, right? I was thinking when he said that to me, this has just cost me £200, this job, right? Because he's gone and done it, and I offered to give him 20% discount.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about this £200 now, right? And then in the next breath, he turns to me and he said to me, "I don't want you to give me the money back." And I'm ashamed to say, I was relieved when he said that.
Wow.
Right?
I can imagine.
I was relieved when he said that. Right?
Yeah.
He said, "But look," and he opened the letter, right? He had 25.5% cancer in his body.
My goodness.
He looked at me, right? He had tears running down his eyes.
How old was this gentleman?
He was 42 years of age, right? He had tears in his eyes, and it reduced me to tears, right? When he said it, and we stood there in tears. This is the first week I'm back at my garage.
Back in your
after
work.
6 months of going for rehab and being out of action, you know. And then I'm standing with the first man, right, that walked into my garage that was diagnosed with prostate cancer. He was the first of 48 men that walked into my garage.
And you told him, and he went and got the check.
He went and got the check.
Found out that he had cancer.
And he turned to me
25%.
and said to me, "I want you to donate that money to Prostate Cancer UK."
Wow.
But more importantly, he said to me, "You need to raise the awareness of this illness."
Right.
Because he said, "I would never have gone to the doctor had you not said it."
Right.
And the ironic thing about it, as I said, he's the first of 48 men that walked into my little garage in Hackney, right? You know, Vasco and Brother Dougie have been with me in this journey, right? You know, so this is not something that, you know, you dream about. It is reality. It actually is living proof, you know. You know, we did a film shoot in the garage to raise this awareness.
Okay.
And the morning that we done this, a gentleman walked into the garage that I'd given a leaflet to go and get himself tested, to come in and tell us that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer.
So the word is definitely getting out there. You've got this passion. Well, the three of you have got this passion to get it out there, and it is happening.
We are three of many great people out there that are spreading this word. You know, it's not me who's going to change it. It's not Vasco. It's not Brother Dougie. It's all of us. Right?
So it's a collective thing, isn't it?
You know, because listen, this affects 47,000 men a year, right?
47,000.
Over 11,000 men are going to die of this illness.
Right.
1 in 8 European men will suffer prostate cancer. 1 in 4 Afro-Caribbean men.
1 in 4.
1 in 4.
Very, very, very high percentage.
In that 48 guys that walked into my garage, right, 28 of those guys were Afro-Caribbean men. 28.
High percentage.
Of which 2 lost their lives in this journey. So
by getting the check that you've told them.
That I told them. So it can't get more personal than where we are coming from here today.
How long would it so from you telling them, how long did it take for them to lose?
The first guy was 42 years of age, right, when he came in, and we had a conversation, and he went off and done the test. When he came back and he was diagnosed, he lasted 10 months. Right.
10 months.
Yeah.
Wow.
The second guy was 36 years of age.
Very, very. He's a young man.
Yeah. But let me tell you what's significant about this young man, right? His 2 brothers, his dad, and his uncle all had prostate issues, and he refused to do anything about it.
Yeah. So it was hereditary in the family.
Yeah.
Errol, so you mentioned the gentleman that you spoke to. There was 2 gentlemen. One was 42, and the other was 36.
Yeah.
And by you mentioning to them about going to get the check, the 2 of them have...
It had already been an advanced situation for both of them. The gentleman that was 42 years of age, right, when he found out, he only lasted 10 months when he found out.
So less than a year.
The sad part of that, right, for me, again, very unlucky because of the situation. The other gentleman, 36 years of age, you know, when I spoke to him, I left my garage with him and went to Homerton Hospital. So that's how personal it is.
Yeah. So you actually went with him. And
yeah.
was
We
at
had the
his side?
conversation.
Yeah.
We had the conversation, and he said, I'm not really into this prostate issue. My dad and my 2 brothers and my uncle. Right. And I looked at him and I thought, am I really hearing this conversation?
Yeah.
So I just said to my boys, listen, I'm going to go to the hospital with this man now. Right, you guys look after the garage. I said, I'm going with this man now, because he was complaining about aches and pains. Yeah. Right. So I said, I'll tell you what's going to happen, man. I'm going to the hospital with you now. Right. So we left my garage. Right. We drove to Homerton Hospital, parked up. We went in. Right. Within 10 minutes, he had had the test done. Right. And then it was a couple of weeks after that I saw he walked into my garage. And when he looked at me and he had the tears running down his eyes, I knew. You knew. I knew. And part of me kind of feels responsible for that, right? Because I encouraged him to go. Yeah. So the sad side of it is, this is the reality of what happens. Yeah. You know? And when we leave it, this is what happens. Yeah. You know, and the fact that his 2 brothers, his dad and his uncle, all had this issue, for me, he only lasted 6 months when he found out. But for me, he died of ignorance, because, you know, I remember having the conversation with my dad, right? And my dad said to me, son, you know, I had that problem 5 years ago. And I was so angry with my dad when he said it. I couldn't bring myself to talk to him for nearly 6 months. Right.
Because he didn't share it with you.
He didn't share it with me. Whether I would have done something about it, I don't know. But what it taught me, right, is that I need to make sure that people are aware, particularly if it's in the family.
Yeah.
But what I learned from that is, even though I was angry with my dad, this is very common.
Yes.
And particularly in Afro-Caribbean families.
Yeah.
Right? You know, I have spoken to people who, I mean, I was in a situation with a guy that for 6 months, he couldn't bring himself to tell his wife that he was diagnosed with prostate cancer. And I said, you've got to tell her.
So he actually went to the, he went to the GP, was diagnosed and couldn't bring himself to tell his wife.
Well, he was one of my customers.
Oh, right.
And he came into my garage and we had the conversation and he went. And then he came back and he said to me, look, you know, they've said to me that this traces a cancer, but keep it to yourself. So I said, okay. And then when I saw him a couple of weeks after that, I said, well, you know, have you sat down and spoken to your wife about it? Oh, no, I can't say nothing to her about it. I said, what do you mean you cannot say nothing to her about it? That's the one person you have to say.
Yeah.
And it has to come from you.
Yeah. Is it, what's going on in our community? Why we're not
Listen,
talking to each...
Cancer thrives on silence, right? That's what I've learned. Cancer thrives on silence. And with our community, right, we're very, very intelligent when it comes to talking about every topic under the sun.
Yeah.
But when it comes to talking about something very personal, that might mean that you have to reveal certain information, that you might feel, you know, embarrassed because of your macho status.
Right. So
you'd rather suffer in silence.
Yeah.
Because that's what a lot of us do.
Yeah.
We suffer in silence.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And I'm going to say to every single man out there, please talk to your partner, because when you think you're suffering, they are suffering as well.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
You know, and these gentlemen will tell you, every time we do a seminar or a talk, there is more women in the room than men.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So, Errol, in terms of symptoms, what are the symptoms that a male will be getting?
Let me tell you how interesting that question is. Because we are 3 men here, right, who, whenever you have a symptom, you deny that that's a symptom.
Right.
So, first of all, right, you know, I wasn't even aware that the things that were going on with me was a symptom.
Okay.
You know, you go to the toilet, right, your flow is very lazy, right, you think you've emptied but you haven't, right, you're at the toilet and you're dripping, right, you're getting lower back pains, lower abdominal pains. Everything that was classed as a symptom for me, I made the excuse that, well, that's age.
Yeah.
That's what I said, it was age, you know, because it was the easiest excuse to make.
Yeah, and it's a bit of a denial as well, isn't it? It's easier to do
It's the most common thing to do, right, with men. And that's why I encourage the ladies to nag, because you ladies go and get yourselves checked.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, because, you know, I tell you, when I was doing this 20% discount in my garage, more women took up the 20% discount than men, right? Because, right, it was important for them, right, for whatever reasons, but the most important, to get the message across to their partner. They used to come in to get their oil checked, their water checked, their tyres checked, right? So that they could make sure they get the message across to their partners.
That's right.
Husbands used to come to me and say, my wife's not talking to me because of you. So I said, well, she must care more about you than the life insurance.
Absolutely,
Right? So, guys, wise up. All she wants you to go and do the checks.
Just get checked, So,
and what I did, I did a simple survey in my garage. I asked 100 of my lady customers, how many of you girls have been to your doctor in 1 year? 89 of those ladies.
Yeah.
I asked the same question to 100 of my male customers. And if you had to give me a number, what number would you give me out of 100 that's been to their doctors in 1 year?
10?
You're not even close. 1.
1?
One man.
My goodness.
Right? So this is why there's a problem. And it's important what the likes of Brother Dougie and Vasco and myself are trying to do here. Right? Because 1 man out of 100 against 89 women out of 100 clearly tells you it's not good enough.
Although you say, Errol, for us women to nag, what else can we do in terms of support?
Well,
to go with them.
You have to, the women
make the appointment.
The women. Well, listen, the women. Listen, I can tell you from first-hand experience, right? Women will make the appointment. Women will go. They will go through the whole procedure, as if it was them
Right.
having their prostate
Absolutely.
checked, right?
Yeah.
My wife, right, if she was sitting here, she would tell you, right up until the operation, the day of the operation, I didn't even know what I was going to be facing because I refused to read up about it. I refused to do anything about it, right? She took me through the whole procedure, you know? Even when it was interesting because even when I was having the biopsy, you know, I phoned her and I said, I've just got a phone call from the doctor that they want me to go to the hospital to do a biopsy. What's a biopsy? That's what I said to her. What's that? You know, because that's a very common conversation for us men. What is a biopsy? She clearly knew what it was. So she said to me, look, don't drive, get a cab to the hospital and I'll meet you at the hospital, right? The biopsy was probably more difficult for me to deal with than the operation because the operation I was asleep.
Yeah.
The biopsy I was awake. And it is a difficult situation. And that's the one where a lot of people jump to the conclusion that they have to deal with. But what I'm saying to guys is, listen, women have to deal with it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Right. So if you have to have that check for that, just for that purpose of making sure you're right, then you've got no choice but to do it.
Absolutely. So it's about working together as a team. Support.
Listen, no man can get through a prostate issue by themselves.
Doesn't happen.
Right? And I've challenged everyone to it. You cannot do it.
Doesn't
no matter
happen.
how strong you think you are, you can't do it.
You need the support.
Yeah. And had it not been for my wife, my family, right, all of my friends who have stood with me to help me, you know.
Well, you
listen,
obviously love life.
do you know what, darling? Let me tell you something.
Love life. You
I
can
have
hear it.
lived life to the full. I've done everything that is humanly possible and more. So when this cancer thing hit me, right, it broke me. I'm not ashamed to tell you, it broke me.
Yeah.
You know, I did 10 years of standing on club doors. Right, I worked in the East End, so I've dealt with anything that you can think of.
Yes, of
Trust
course.
me, I've dealt with them. Right, and that one thing called cancer reduced me to tears.
Yes.
You know, and when I say reduced me to tears, I was scared. And the only time I ever felt like that is when I lost my mum.